Today's Sun, Jane Moore refers to a couple of recent and shocking stories concerning women who've committed acts of extreme, unprovoked violence, often while under the influence of alcohol. She cites an 81% rise in female violent crime over the last decade and the increase in common assaults by females, which have risen by an incredible 151%. Now, she asks the question, whatever has happened to the fairer sex? So, what do you think when you hear about women acting violently? What do you think?
It's frightening. It really is frightening. I mean, we've always had strong women. We've always had strong women in the family. We've always had strong women in the workplace, but not as much violence. And I honestly think it's alcohol-induced, a lot of it. That's what Jane's been on about today.
Yeah.
But I do worry because women are the foundation of the society. We are the mothers. Well, I'm not personally, but the mothers, I've got one. Yes, I have got one. Yes, and it's that first bond with whoever that is.
Do you think it's worse then if you hear? I mean, any act of violence is abhorrent, but do you think it's worse if you hear that the act of violence has been carried out by a woman?
I think it is much worse as a woman, and we are the fairer sex. I don't care what anybody says about this equality and everything. We have a responsibility to be women and to our children and to the society, and that's just my view.
That's such a massive responsibility on women as well, and I'm sure that's why a lot of women drink, because we have to be so blooming perfect and cope with everything. And I think I think it's a bit hard for us ladies to have to be the fairer sex.
Yeah. So you think it's okay then to just drink yourself stupid?
I don't think it's okay to drink yourself stupid, but I also don't think, I think there's, I think if you're going to go attack someone in a street, I think there's a predisposition there. I don't think having a drink is going to turn you into someone who attacks people. I think, that's there already. And there's this thing of like, they'll say about a bloke, if he goes out and has a drink on a Friday night, oh, bless him, he's worked hard all week. He deserves to cut loose and, have a good drink. A woman's worked twice as hard that week as well. She might want to cut loose on a Friday night, but there's people going, well, what about the kids' football Saturday morning? And who's going to do the shopping? And who's going to do that? But it's all right for the bloke to have a lie-in.
To be honest, I'm a bit with Lisa on this, and I think to see a man falling down and being sick in the gutter is just as depressing. I mean, the fact that anybody is in the street falling down. And fairer sex, in a sense, suggests we worked very hard for equality. So we should be equal, maybe, the same as opposed to fairer, because nowadays we do stuff that means we have to get out there in the workplace. That means, actually, I think that if the alcohol thing and the celebrity chasing and the whole image thing that now happens, the aggression that's coming out, it's kind of started with the men, and maybe a lot of younger women think they've got to respond in like, and it's a kind of misunderstanding and also nobody tells them not to.
And also when you're a youngster as well, you're part of your peer pressure is going out and finding out whether you can drink, whether you're someone that can actually tolerate and has a level of tolerance for alcohol. That's all part of your sort of rite of passage, if you like. And I agree with Jane. I mean, it's also quite ageist, that it's very unattractive to see a woman drunk and sprawled on the floor because she looks vulnerable, and it's more dangerous for a woman. But it's also, there's nothing more unattractive than an older woman for some reason. I don't know why that is. It's not fair, but men are just repulsed by it. It doesn't make sense.
Just picking up on one point that you just said, yes, it is unfair, but you said about who's going to get Bobby up for his practice and who's going to cook the breakfast. It should be you as a mother. That's who it should be. Don't have children and go out and get drunk and fall in the
gutter. I mean, Dad should maybe be doing the football practice.
But dads have never been. Yes, it's great if dads do. Well, if they do, but this is why society's in such a mess now.
Yeah, but you can't blame women for that.
You can't do it all. You cannot do it all.
Well, and that's why people drink, because the pressure's so blooming enormous sometimes. Just on a Friday night when you've got through the week to sit down with a glass of wine. I'm not saying go out and get absolutely bladdered. I'm saying that there's enormous pressure on women to deliver on so many levels, so sometimes they need to just...
Can I also just say that the press would have you believe that it's loads of people. I reckon it's probably the same minority of badly behaved people that have always been badly behaved, that don't know about manners and behaviour. That don't know their own sense of responsibility.
It's a very different thing to having a wee glass of wine at the end of a tough day than it is to going out and kicking a man in the head while he's waiting for a bus.
I agree with that. I agree, but I don't think that those two things are necessarily linked. Getting back to what you said about the youngsters and stuff, I think ladettes, this ladette culture that we had. Do you remember, like, in the 80s and stuff, it was always really cool for girls to go out in the 90s to go out and just get absolutely trolleyed and keep up with the boys. And I think that's pressure on girls as well. And they've got so many celebrities falling in and out of bars.
It could well be a fashion thing. You know, if somebody actually now, you know, was a role model and was gorgeous and cool and chic and actually didn't fall over drunk,